Hey guys, Miss.Roopa here. I'm coming back with a few more chapters of March Mischief. And we are going to start on chapter 7. And this chapter is called Officer Fallon's Trade. The kids thanked Mr. Paskey as they were leaving. He said, "Happy reading." "This is a mess," Ben said. "Nobody thinks Lucky stole those dumb leprechauns, but he's still in jail." Bradley could see the police station across Main Street. "Let's go talk to Officer Fallon," he said. "Tell him what you told us. Maybe he'll believe you if we go with you." The 6 kids crossed the street to the police station. Inside, they walked down a quiet hallway. They passed a room where 2 officers were dressing a leprechaun statue in a tiny police suit. Officer Fallon was at his desk sipping tea when the kids walked in. "Hello, gang," he said. "What brings you here?" "We came to see Lucky," Ben said. "Is he okay?" "Your brother is very comfortable," Officer Fallon said. "We want to confess," Ralphie said. Officer Fallon raised his bushy eyebrows. "What do you mean, Ralphie?" "We did it, Ben and me." Ralphie and Ben told Officer Fallon how they had stolen all 3 leprechauns the night before. "We hid them in Lucky's closet," Ben said. "We were going to return them. Honest," Ralphie cried. "We did it to get back at Lucky," Ben went on. "We were mad at him, so we lied and told Bradley that it was Lucky. And we're really sorry." Everyone got quiet. Bradley could feel his heart beating too fast. "Officer Fallon, who told you that Lucky stole the leprechauns?" he asked. "We talked to Mrs. Wong and Mr. Paskey, and they said they didn't tell you." Officer Fallon looked at Bradley. He tugged on an earlobe. He smoothed his mustache. "I'm afraid I can't tell you," he finally answered. "Not while an investigation is going on." Officer Fallon stood up. "Ben and Ralphie, you're very brave to admit what you did," he said. "Now just go get the statues and return them to their owners. Then I'll let Lucky out of jail." "But that's the problem," Ben said. "The leprechauns aren't in the closet anymore." "Well, where are they?" Officer Fallon asked. "We don't know," Ralphie wailed. Bradley thought the poor kid was going to burst into tears. Officer Fallon looked down at the O'Leary brothers. "You don't know where the leprechauns are?" "No," Ben mumbled. "Someone stole them from Lucky's closet," Ralphie said. "Oh, now I see," Officer Fallon said. "First you stole them, then you hid them, then someone else stole them. Right?" "Right," Ben and Ralphie both said. "Some stranger walked into your house and took 3 leprechauns from Lucky's closet?" Officer Fallon asked. Ben and Ralphie nodded. "Well, we have a problem," Officer Fallon said. "I can't let Lucky out of jail until the stolen goods are returned." But, we don't know where they are," Ralphie stuttered. Officer Fallon sighed. "Sorry, kids, that's the way it will have to be. We'll make a trade. When you give me the leprechauns, I'll give you Lucky." Chapter 8. Where is Pal? The kids left the police station. No one knew what to say. Ben and Ralphie wanted their brother back. Bradley, Brian, Lucy, and Nate wanted their leprechaun back. At the fitness center window, they watched 2 women dressing a leprechaun statue in gym clothes. "We'd better get home," Ralphie said. "Don't worry, we'll figure something out," Bradley said. "See you guys," Ben muttered. He and Ralphie trudged toward Robin Road. Bradley, Brian, Lucy, and Nate went to the twins' house. Bradley found a note from his mother. "Gone shopping. Josh is in charge. Pal seems lonely. Play with him. Lunch is in the fridge. Love, Mom." "Where is Pal?" Lucy asked. Bradley whistled. Pal didn't come. Brian clapped his hands. Pal still didn't come. "Geez, don't tell me somebody stole him too," Brian said. "Let's go look," Nate said. The 4 kids split up and searched the house. Bradley checked the bedrooms. Josh was on his bed reading and eating a sandwich. "Have you seen Pal?" Bradley asked. "He was in the kitchen when I made my sandwich," Josh said. "He's not there now," Bradley said. Next, he went to the bedroom, and he shared with Brian. Pal's tail was sticking out from under Brian's bed. "There you are," Bradley muttered. He flopped down next to the bed. "Hi, Pal, come on out." Pal didn't move. "I'll give you a cookie," Bradley said. Pal wasn't interested. "Are you mad at me?" Bradley asked. Pal didn't make a sound. Bradley peeked under the bed. Pal's big brown eyes looked back at him. "What have you got there?" Bradley asked. Pal was lying on something brown and fuzzy. Bradley pulled out the 2 sleeves he'd cut off his old sweater. "Aw, you miss your sweater?" Bradley asked. "Is that why you're mad? I had to use the sweater for the leprechaun?" Just then the other kids walked in. "I found him," Bradley said. He showed them the 2 sweater sleeves. "Pal's mad because we took his old sweater." Brian, Lucy, and Nate got down on the floor. They all looked under the bed, and Pal looked back at them. I have an idea, Lucy said. He'll come out when he's hungry. Brian said, No, I mean about finding the leprechaun, Lucy said. Maybe Pal can find it for us. The other three just looked at her. He loves that old sweater, right? Lucy said. Bradley nodded. And we put the sweater on the leprechaun, right? Lucy said. Yep, Bradley said. Well, Pal is a hound dog. Detectives use hound dogs to find missing people, so Pal's nose can lead us to the sweater. And then we'll have the leprechaun. Great idea, Lucy, Bradley said, and if we find our leprechaun, the other two will probably be with it. Bradley put his face under the bed again. Pal, want to go for a walk? Pal wriggled out from under the bed. Woof, he said. Chapter 9, Sniffing for the Sweater. Bradley snapped on Pal's leash. He held the sweater sleeves under the dog's nose. Find the sweater, Pal, Bradley said. The basset hound led the 4 kids down the stairs and onto the porch. He sniffed the porch floor. That's where we left the leprechaun, Brian said. Pal tugged on his leash, and the kids followed. They all cut through the school grounds to Main Street. Soon they were headed down Bridge Lane. He must be taking us back to the O'Leary's house, Nate said. At the big blue house, Pal went straight to the red wagon. He sniffed it all over. Just then, the front door opened. Ben and Ralphie came out. What's going on? Ben asked. Pal is helping us find our leprechaun, Bradley said. He led us right here. He knows you put it in your wagon, Lucy said. He's right, Ralphie said. Can you let Pal sniff Lucky's gym clothes? Bradley asked. Ralphie giggled. Sure, but they're pretty stinky, he said. Come on in. Pal and the 4 kids followed Ben and Ralphie inside. A bunch of red-headed kids were playing hide-and-seek. The fairy princess leprechaun stood in a corner. Lucky's room is down the hall, Ben said, leading the way. The bedroom was messy, and the bed was made. Pal went right to a closet. He sniffed and barked and scratched at the door. Ben opened the closet door. The floor was covered with gym clothes. This is where we hid him, Ralphie said. So somebody snuck in here and stole them, Nate said. I wonder who. Do you keep your front door locked? Bradley asked the 2 brothers. Ben and Ralphie shrugged. Mom takes care of that, Ben answered. I guess she locks it at night. But during the day, she leaves it unlocked. Pal left the closet and headed through the bedroom door. His leash trailed behind him. The 6 kids followed. Outside, Pal bolted for an old car sitting in the driveway. He put his front paws on the car door and started barking. Maybe the leprechauns are in the car, Nate said. That's Lucky's car, and we already looked, Ben said. He opened the car door. Pal jumped inside. He sniffed all the seats. He found a French fry and gobbled it up. Then he barked. Pal thinks we're looking for Lucky, Lucy said. Bradley pulled Pal away from the car. He let him sniff the sweater sleeves again. Find the sweater, he told his dog. We already know where Lucky is. Yeah, he's in jail, Ben said. And it's all our fault. Pal sat on the driveway. He looked at the kids. He looked at the car. And then he went to sleep. Chapter 10. Pal's Nose Knows. Bradley checked his watch. Let's go home and eat, he said. Then we can decide what to do next. The kids woke up Pal. They all hiked back along Bridge Lane. When they got home, there was no car in the driveway. Mom is still not home, Brian said. She left sandwiches, Bradley said. Inside, the kids lined up at the sink, and they washed their hands. Pal crawled under the table to wait for crumbs. Bradley pulled a plate of sandwiches from the fridge. Brian got out milk and glasses for everyone. We have tuna, peanut butter and jelly, and egg salad, Bradley said. Tuna, Brian yelled. Egg salad, Lucy said. Bradley and Nate both had PB&J. Bradley thought about Lucky and Officer Fallon. He still wondered who had told Officer Fallon that Lucky was the thief. Guys, we have to talk to Lucky, Bradley said. Why? His brother asked. He might know who told Officer Fallon to arrest him, Bradley answered. But Lucky's in jail, Brian said, so we can ask Officer Fallon to let us see him, Nate said. They let prisoners have visitors. Well, how do you know? Lucy asked. Nate grinned. He had a milk mustache. I saw it on TV, he said. 10 minutes later, the kids walked up the steps of the police station. Pal pulled on his leash. The police station was warm and quiet. A radiator hissed. A clock ticked. It's really creepy in here, Nate whispered. Just be glad you're not Lucky, Lucy said. He's in jail. He's in a jail cell. Yuck, Brian said. I heard they sleep on cement beds with spiders and rats. And all they feed you is bread and water, Nate said. You guys watch way too much TV, Lucy said. Just then the door opened. Ben and Ralphie walked in. Hey, what are you guys doing here? Ben asked. We came to see your brother, Bradley said. We did too, Ralphie said. We brought him some cookies. He held up a lumpy bag. Ben looked around. Where's his cell? He asked. I think it's downstairs, Brian said. There's Officer Fallon's office, Bradley said. Come on. A small sign hung from Officer Fallon's doorknob. It said, Gone to lunch. It's almost 1 o'clock, Bradley said. He should be back soon. Let's wait. The 6 kids sat on a long bench under the clock. Ralphie had the lumpy bag on his lap. Bradley could smell the cookies. He wondered what kind they were. Pal was sniffing the floor. Suddenly, he raced to a closed door. He began whimpering. Bradley followed Pal. What's the matter, boy? He asked. Pal's tail was going crazy. He let out a low growl. He put his front paws on the door. Bradley opened the door. The room was dark. He found a wall switch, and a light came on. Bradley saw mops and pails and other cleaning supplies. Against the back wall stood a huge old desk. It was partly covered with a sheet. A dusty computer sat on the desk. Spiderwebs made it look super creepy. In a corner stood a tall trash barrel. Then Bradley saw something else. Guys, he whispered, guess what Pal just found? The 5 other kids hurried over to Bradley and Pal. Look, Bradley said. He pointed inside the room. On a table stood 3 leprechauns. One had floppy ears and a dog nose and wore part of an old sweater. Pal leaped into the room and licked his sweater.